All right, it's November 8th. We have a lot to talk about. So, the city in Ukraine, Pokrovsk, has fallen. Russian takes final fortified city. We talked about this the other day that Russia was coming in, which was really quick. This was quicker than expected. Uh, Pokrovsk was the final fortified city all the way to the Dnieper River. Yeah, these towns and cities in Ukraine are just, I cannot pronounce them correctly. I just cannot pronounce a single one of these correctly. But anyway, yeah, so Russia's taken over this city. They're about to go into the next city that was not as fortified as this one. This was actually more fortified, but the next one is another major city that they were encircling. So Putin's making the move. We talked about this the past few days. I didn't expect it to be this quick. Um, yeah, so Ukraine is literally dying. This is a major city that was had a lot of weapons and a lot of troops in there. So it's now taken over by the Russian army, and Zelensky was notified. So we'll see what Ukraine does about this. I mean, they can't do anything because they don't have any more soldiers, really. But they do have some missiles that they can launch inside of Russia, which Zelensky has already said he's going to do. Just wonderful. So, huge escalation in the Ukraine Russia war. Pokrovsk was the final fortified city, really. Um, the rest of the country shouldn't be a problem for Russia. I mean, not as much of a problem as it has been. Um, so, yeah, huge escalation. We'll see what Ukraine does in retaliation. They can't really do anything except strike inside of Russia, which they already said they're going to do, which is not smart, but that's probably what they're going to do. So, huge escalation. Ukraine is losing every front every day. I mean, Russia's just coming in here, and yeah, so don't listen to the news when they tell you Ukraine has a chance. It does not have a chance. And speaking of Russia, Ukraine, Russia hits Ukraine with very large missile and drone barrages. All Ukraine power plants on offline. So here's a map here that Russia sent all these missiles and drones, just completely destroying Ukraine's infrastructure. This was one of the largest, most destructive attacks since the beginning of Russia's special military operation. All of Ukraine's state thermal power plants are down after largest ever attack by Russia. These are the missiles that were launched. Just take a look at this list. Um, yeah, those are just the missiles. And the main targets were the Ukrainian gas and energy infrastructure, obviously. And the drones hit these places right here. So basically, the majority of Ukraine was hit by these missiles and drones. And a lot of these missiles and drones are advanced. These aren't, Iranian drones. These are advanced missiles and drones that can do serious damage. And they did do serious damage. And if you just look at this map here, this is all you need to know. I mean, I think this was done at the same time they took the city or right after. So, like I said, Ukraine is just done. It's dying. Russia's taken it over. And there's nothing left to defend really in Ukraine. Yeah, so Zelensky is going to respond to both of these things, this attack it's in itself, and as well as the city that was just taken over. So this war is coming to an end, but there's a lot of escalation that's happening before it needs to end. I mean, I totally expect Zelensky to launch something inside of Russia, even though it's basically suicide to do that. But what does he have to lose, really? He's already losing the whole country. So I don't know if the news will even show you this because it'll make Ukraine look bad, but yeah, Ukraine's done. I mean, this was just one single attack by Russia with drones and missiles, and they have a lot more drones and missiles to do. This is just like an initial wave. So, huge escalation again. This Russia-Ukraine situation is it's escalating, but it's also coming to an end because of the escalations. Um, we'll see what Russia does in regards to the next city. I totally expect them to go in probably in the next few days, and Ukraine can't do anything because they've lost all their soldiers really, and there's really nothing left to defend. So, as much as escalation is happening, it is coming to an end because of this. Um, yeah, so Ukraine can't obviously they can't intercept these missiles or drones. So Russia could literally do this again today, and there's nothing Ukraine can do about it. So yeah, just lovely war, a lot of death, a lot of war going on, but Ukraine could have made a deal. They've had multiple opportunities to make a peace deal with Trump and Russia. Yes, they would have lost a lot of land, but they still would have kept Ukraine as a country. But they refused to do that, so here we are. Now they're going to lose the whole country because Zelensky needs money for his cocaine addiction, and he cares more about that than the country of Ukraine. So isn't that just lovely? So yeah, I don't know if the news will even talk about this. I don't know if they'll even show you this. This is an insane map here. So yeah, Russia's making the move, and Ukraine is just getting even more weak, and it's dying even quicker than what the news was saying. I mean, the news was literally saying that Ukraine can win a few weeks ago. And then just take a look at this. Why, if Ukraine can win, why didn't they stop these missiles and drones? And how come they lost all this land already? Well, strange. And then this is a big deal. Maduro open to managed exit if Trump provides amnesty. Putin on standby with military aid. Last week, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro reached out to Russia, China, and Iran for possible military aid after U.S. President Donald Trump mulled a military attack amid a massive buildup of American forces in the region. So this is all that Trump wants. This is all that the administration wants. They want a regime change without actually putting boots on the ground. Uh, Trump has wanted Maduro gone since his first term. He tried to have him leave the first time, but he didn't. Um, so I don't know if this is going to happen. I think it might happen because if Maduro doesn't accept this managed exit thing, then we could be looking at some major military operations in Venezuela. Not just a strike that we've been talking about, but multiple strikes on multiple infrastructure that would basically force Maduro to leave. Now, Maduro is not a legitimate president. He's a socialist dictator. He's not a good guy. But I don't think we should be risking going to war. I mean, over a socialist dictator. I mean, Venezuela has a lot of emerald and gold mines that the U.S. would love to have, um, or at least have a leader that is aligned with the U.S. so they can like make some money off that. But Maduro and Trump, they've been having a beef since Trump came into office the first time. So this isn't anything really new. It's just the fact that Maduro is willing to leave if he has guaranteed security and all this. That's a big deal. That's a big deal because this is the only time that I've seen, even after he lost the election, this is the only time I've seen him willing to leave, which means the US is either threatening him or he has no choice. I believe they're probably threatening him. They're saying if you don't leave and abide by our rules, we're going to strike Venezuela hard and it's going to look very bad. And so Maduro might just not have a choice here. Um, but it does look like he's willing to leave if the U.S. can abide by their promises, which would basically mean they're not going to, prosecute Maduro and all this, or kill him straight up. But Russia's a big ally of Venezuela. I don't know if they will have a say in this. Russia already dropped off a bunch of military aid a few days ago, right after Maduro asked for it. But yeah, the U.S. is building up all this military equipment on the coast of Venezuela. And Maduro doesn't like that, and he's being threatened, in my opinion, to leave. Otherwise, there will be extreme, major strikes, not just the initial strikes that the U.S. has been talking about, but major escalation that would be very bad for Venezuela. So this is pretty incredible that he's willing to do this. Trump must be giving him one heck of a good deal to do this because Maduro is not going to leave until his dying day, what it seems like. But the fact that he's willing to leave means that Trump is probably threatening him. And who knows what that threat is? It could be his life. Trump has done this with the leaders of ISIS and Hamas. He says, if you don't do this, I'm just going to kill you. So who knows? That could be a possibility, but this is a crazy update because this is the first time Maduro has ever openly said that he's willing to leave his position of power. So there's probably threats going on. So with that being said, the U.S. is probably still going to strike Venezuela, but if Maduro stays, then they're probably going to escalate those strikes. And if Maduro leaves, it'll probably just be a quick strike, if even. They might just pull off the strikes entirely. Um, yeah, we'll have to see. But major update here because it looked like the U.S. was going to strike immediately. And now he's saying he's willing to leave, which probably means the U.S. told him about the strikes that they're going to do. Or other stuff, not just the strikes, but also sanctions and other military operations. So we'll see what happens. Um, I don't really expect Maduro to leave, but it is a possibility. I'd give it a 50% chance because for him to even come out and say this means that a deal was offered, in my opinion. So we'll see. And we'll see if Trump strikes with or without Maduro leaving because it looks like they're about to strike any day now. So one of these sides has to make a decision. Is the U.S. just going to strike, or are they going to wait for Maduro to leave? We'll see. We'll see. And this was pretty interesting. Biden responsible for Ukraine conflict, Hungarian PM. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban has accused former U.S. President Joe Biden's administration of driving the Ukraine conflict by pushing EU member states to adopt more confrontational line against Russia. So this isn't anything new. Everybody knows this. Every leader in the world has come out and said this. But I just wanted to show you that, yeah, everyone knows, even the Hungarian PM, who's a really good guy. He knows about the coup that the U.S. did in 2014, but also the military buildup on Russia's border to entice Russia. So everyone in the world knows this. Even Vladimir Putin came out and said that I would not have invaded Ukraine if Trump was president. So this is just more validation for the Trump administration and for people that have actually been paying attention to this situation for the past 10 plus years. We all know what happened in Ukraine. This was all the U.S. fault, and they did it on purpose. But everyone knows that. And then here we go. London lifts sanctions on Syrian president. Syrian president. UK has lifted sanctions on Syrian President Ahmad al-Sharaa following a United Nations decision to remove him from the terrorist list. The move comes ahead of al-Sharaa's planned visit to the United States. So just like the United States, a lot of Western countries are bending the knee and they're all of a sudden saying that this mass murderer is a good guy and we want him to succeed. This all has to do with economics and stability in the region and allies in the Middle East. Yeah, this whole thing's crazy. I mean, this guy literally killed over 10,000 Christians by himself. The U.S. military put a $50 million bounty on him. And all of a sudden, just overnight, he's a good guy now. And we all have to love him. Trump's going to have him at the White House, and they're going to treat him like royalty. They're going to give him the whole red carpet treatment. They're going to give him free money. They're going to lift sanctions. This is a convicted killer. This is a known jihadist who has sworn to his life to bring down Western civilization and kill Christians. Those are his words. And this, and he's now the president of Syria. That's why he changed his name to Ahmad al-Sharaa, not Jawani, or whatever his name was. Um, yeah, so this is just ridiculous. I mean, I wish this was a satire article, but it's true. I mean, London, Sadiq Khan is also a devout Muslim. So that's really not a surprise, but it's just insane how many countries are pretending like this is a good guy when literally a couple years ago they were trying to hunt him down with their militaries. I could go on and off about the Syrian situation. We should have never destabilized it. We should have kept Bashar al Assad in power, whether he's good or bad, kind of like Saddam Hussein. Are we better off with him or without him? Just take a look. Take a look at Afghanistan and Iraq. Are we better off, or was it better off under Al Qaeda? I mean, Al Qaeda's running the show now anyway. That's a war that the United States lost on purpose. It took 20 years and we couldn't defeat Al Qaeda. I mean, nobody actually believes that. And now Al Qaeda's running the countries and they've never been stronger. So Syria is just completely done. There's no way Syria will be a productive economic nation with this guy in charge. Um, but it's just the way it is. This guy's going to be in charge until he dies, probably. And Syria will never rise up to be a solid, decent country ever again because the United States wanted to have a civil war and fund the rebels. So, thank you, Israel. Thank you, United States, for destroying the only Christian nation in the region. And then Turkey issues own arrest warrant for Netanyahu, pushing Israel relations to breaking point. Yeah, so this isn't anything new. Erdogan has not been really a fan of Netanyahu. He's actually said this before. And if you look at Netanyahu's flight radars, he literally has to fly his planes around countries that want him arrested because if he lands there, they're going to arrest him immediately, as they should. Netanyahu's the biggest war criminal probably on planet Earth right now. Now that Dick Cheney's dead, George Bush is still alive, so that's, you can make the argument. But Netanyahu has multiple arrest warrants out for him, not just by the international court, but in his own country. There's a lot of investigations going on. Benjamin Netanyahu ordered the military to stand down on October 7th for 8 to 9 hours. That's all been verified. And he also knew the attack was coming. But, the war can't continue if he stops the attack. If October 7th didn't happen, we wouldn't have to deal with the situation with Iran and all that. So Netanyahu allowed it to happen, just like the United States allowed 9/11 to happen. They knew it was coming. They knew it was going to happen. They allowed it so that they can invade the Middle East. Netanyahu allowed it so that the war can continue so that he doesn't go to prison. It's that simple. So, yeah, Netanyahu has to be careful because there's a lot of countries that are saying this now. Like, he's literally won't be allowed to travel to any country. I mean, other than the United States. The US should also put a arrest warrant for Netanyahu, but I don't see Trump doing that. He's very close to Israel. And of course, the deep state wouldn't allow that either. That's why he's always here. Netanyahu's always in the US. He's been to the White House more times than most leaders combined already. So, because he needs the US to back him, because the US is the only country that's really saying, yes, we'll give you everything you want, no questions asked. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I don't think anything's going to happen here because obviously Netanyahu's not going to be traveling to Turkey. So, they could have this arrest warrant, but if Netanyahu doesn't go there, they can't arrest him. So, just another list, another country Netanyahu can't go to because he'll get arrested. So everyone knows that the relationship with Israel is too much. It's ridiculous. We shouldn't be supporting a foreign nation that much for a foreign nation that doesn't even really respect the United States and turns its back on us every time we give them weapons, they sell it to China. They're Mossad intelligence. They lie to us on purpose, and there's absolutely no reason for us to be giving foreign aid to them because they're a delinquent ally. They're not abiding by our rules. They don't even align with our religion. They don't even worship our same Messiah. So maybe we shouldn't be giving them every single dollar of our tax revenue, because all they've done is create war and chaos on purpose. So if if Turkey can do this, we can do it too. That's all I'm saying. Maybe that'll happen one day. So let's just go over some headlines. Yeah, that was a lot that we talked about, but let's just go over some regular headlines. SCOTUS halts SNAP spending mandate. Yeah, I mean, this whole court battle is going to be going back and forth, just like the tariffs. I mean, at the end of the day, Trump's going to do what he needs to do. If the SNAP benefits need to be cut off, then that will happen. A court may be able to delay it for a little bit, but it's not going to have the final say so, even with the tariffs. Um, Trump is going to do what he needs to do. So these court orders are just delaying the inevitable. Brennan Strzok Page subpoenaed as part of federal Russiagate probe. Yeah, we've been talking about this. Um, Brennan is definitely next. It looks like he's definitely on the next list to be indicted. Elise Stefanik launches bid for governor of New York. Yeah, she's obviously going to have a great chance to win. We'll have to see if she's Israel first or America first because she has a lot of close ties to Israel. But obviously, nobody likes Kathy Hochul. And obviously, nobody's going to like Mamdani by the time this election even happens because that's still 2026, a year. Um, so we'll see what happens. I mean, obviously, Stefanik has a huge opportunity to win because of how bad Democrat policies are. But then again, same thing with New York City. If all these people are moving out of New York, who's going to be left to vote for Elise Stefanik? Because a lot of these people leaving New York are tax-paying citizens. They're not illegal immigrants. So if a million people leave New York, she's going to lose a million voters. So yeah, we'll see what happens. That's still a year away. Trump announced his trade deal with Uzbekistan. Yeah, Trump's still making deals with countries, and he's not done. This is all he does all day. Let's see what else. Obama urges Democrats to embrace socialism after New York City election win. Not a surprise. I highly suggest you go read his book where he says he loves socialism and communism and he hopes to bankrupt the United States. Those are his words. So, um, yeah, that's not a surprise at all. That's just his true colors. Rory Cooper took 15 convicted killers off death row as governor. Now he's pitching himself as a tough on crime Senate candidate. Yeah, this is why you have to research who's running because they can get in front of a microphone and say anything. But obviously, this guy's not tough on crime. Elise Stefanik torches Kathy Hochul in fiery campaign launch, worst governor in America. That's kind of I don't know about worst governor in America. I mean, Gavin Newsom's probably up there as well. But, you have to exaggerate things to win an election. Shutdown shows U.S. could stand to fire many federal workers. Yeah, that's the whole point. That's why people love the shutdown. These are unelected bureaucrats nobody voted for, so why are they being paid by taxpayer dollars for their salary? Yeah, so let's go ahead and fire them. Trump in a minute executes massive crime crackdown in Memphis. Yeah, Memphis is terrible. The National Guard will probably have to stay there for a while because there's just so many criminals. President Trump seeks emergency block on judge's order to pay food stamps in full. Like I said, these court battles are going to be going back and forth basically the whole Trump administration. I mean, you're going to be seeing headlines like this every day. Let's see. Pam Bondi rips Obama judge for diverting school lunch funds to SNAP. So I guess that's what Pam Bondi's been doing. Um, She's looking at Obama's judge rather than Obama himself. Okay, that's just great. Um, let's see. U.S. conducts 17th strike on narco terrorists. So this is getting a little out of hand. I mean, in my opinion, I think the U.S. should arrest these boats, seize the assets, and prosecute these people instead of just killing them, because a lot of people are saying Trump doesn't have any evidence and it's just straight up murder. But, you know, I'm sure the intelligence is correct that these are boats, but, you know, what can you do? So, like I've been saying, these boats are not going to stop coming. These boats are not going to stop coming. So 17th is nothing. We're going to be at 20 soon. Michigan hospital saw 1,400% increase in gender dysphoria diagnosis after opening gender clinic. Yeah, they just have these words. Transgenderism is a mental illness, and yeah, so that's not a surprise. Leaked documents expose Democratic Socialist plans to control Mamdani. Yeah, like I've been saying, Alex Soros, George Soros, and all these guys, they're going to be controlling Mamdani. Mamdani's not going to be able to do what he wants to do, but he's just going to straight up do what he's told, which might be worse, believe it or not. Travel industry strains under FAA flight cuts due to shutdown. Yeah, I think New York City LaGuardia and Chicago O'Hare were shut down today. Like, these are some of the major airports in the country and have to be shut down because the Democrats want to whine and try to make Trump look bad. Even though we've already gone over the numbers, the shutdown, people are blaming the Democrats more than Trump. So I don't know what this show is that Schumer's doing. How Trump admin is battling state level lawsuits against oil brands, blah, blah, blah. Tesla shareholders approve. Yeah, we saw that. Airlines are going to lose millions of dollars over government shutdown impacts on flights, Duffy says. Yeah, that's why these CEOs keep having to come out and literally having to have a press conference telling Schumer to open the government. These are his voters. These are people that voted for him. So a lot of these airlines are already losing money, and they're going to lose even more money if the government stays shut down because air traffic control is actually required for flights. So if there's no air traffic control, a plane can't take off even if everything's perfectly fine. And it's all the Democrats' fault. So, I mean, maybe the Democrats are hoping that this Mamdani election is like taking media attention away, but like people are still pissed. I mean, there's so many flights that the US does in a single day that this is going to be the biggest story until the government opens, because we're looking at 20% flights being canceled next week. It was 10% this week, and everyone's saying the same thing. Open the government, Democrats, open the government. So at some point, Schumer has to do this, because if he doesn't, the entire flight industry is gonna just get shut down, and it's gonna be all his fault. And I don't think Gavin Newsom's gonna like that, considering he's gonna be running for president. That's gonna be something they talk about on the campaign trail, probably saying like, "Why did your party do this?" So the whole party, the whole country, even Democrats don't want the government shut down because of this air traffic control thing. And the only people responsible are the only people saying no. So, but that's who the Democrats are. So that's not a surprise. But like, man, how can you live your life like this? I mean, there's probably not a single person in Chuck Schumer's life that likes him. I mean, do I? I'm not even going to go down that road. But his family probably doesn't like him, and I'll just leave it at that. But like, how are these people doing this? I mean, how are you selling your soul for nothing? You're not even getting anything out of this. So, whatever. I'm sure AOC will take over Schumer's Senate spot in the next few years, and he'll probably be gone soon. But anyway, that's kind of all that's happened today. Major escalation in Russia Ukraine. Major escalation, not only from the city falling, but the drone and missile strikes that Russia did. So, huge escalation. And obviously, the escalation in Venezuela. We're kind of at a weird situation now because I don't know if the US is waiting on Maduro to accept the managed exit or if they're just going to still strike either way. I guess we'll have to see. But something's going to happen. It would be great if Maduro left and there's no strike, but something tells me that's not going to happen. But we'll see. I mean, obviously, that's the best case scenario. And obviously, Netanyahu's not going to get arrested anytime soon because he's not going to be going to Turkey or these other countries. Um, but I'm sure Israel will strike again, something, and Hamas will retaliate, and it'll be this whole thing. So that's basically all that's happened today. The government is still shut down. There's more flights being canceled. Like I said, LaGuardia and O'Hare, I think, are completely shut down right now as of today. So it's only getting worse. So the Democrats should open the government, but they're not. So that's kind of where we're at in the world. So if anything crazy happens, I'll let you know. Until then, have a great day.